This is the last part of the topic of culture and HRM. This session lead to summarize the HRM application in different dimensions of culture, national culture. Then first one, power distance. There are two types of power distance, high power distance and low power distance. When concerning participation for training and education, in high power distance culture, one-way participation. Trainee is hearing, trainer telling, teacher explaining, students are hearing. But in low power distance culture, it is two-way participation. Trainer and trainee together complete the course. Perception of instructor, how instructor perceive his or her role. Then under the high power distance culture, trainer pursued, trainer has adequate authority. However, in the low power distance culture, trainer perceive he has adequate competencies. Then other one, most of the time, senior managers are the trainers in high power distance culture. However, in low power distance culture, external trainers are hired as a trainer. Credibility and trust of the trainer. In high power distance culture, it is very high. But in low power distance, it is very low. Then assessment style. In high power distance, assessment style is autocratic and employee tolerate autocratic assessment style. However, in low power distance culture, assessment style is democratic and employee enjoy the assessment. Assessment is an enjoyable thing in low power distance culture. Then performance appraisal. In high power distance culture, performance appraisal is one-way approach and it is autocratic form. However, in low power distance culture, performance appraisal is a participative approach and democratic form. Then feedback of performance appraisal review. The feedback is not open in high power distance culture. However, it is open in low power distance culture. Then employee hiring. Employee hiring. In the high power distance culture, employee hiring is when employee hiring consider the educational qualification. However, in low power distance culture, when hiring employee, they consider competencies. They consider competencies. Preference to show the status very high in high power distance culture. However, it is less like in low power distance culture. Then practices of human resource planning. Practices of human resource planning. These are the features of human resource planning under high power distance. Rare or no systematic human resource plan, short-term oriented decisions, decisions are centralized, human resource plan are changed to accommodate the request of higher level executives. Those are the characters, features of human resource planning under high power distance. Then what are the features of human resource planning in low power distance culture? It is systematic and rational, long term oriented, involving all line managers, then take all inputs from all managers. Human resource plan are fixed with long term requirements. Then career planning. In high power distance culture, career planning is not systematic, but it is systematic in low power distance culture. Then likability and favor of hierarchy and power structure by the employees. In high power distance, like and favor for the hierarchy and power structure. However, in low power distance, dislike and not favor for hierarchy and power. Then involvement of employee in decision making, invitation for the employee for decision making, invitation. No invitation or involvement in high power culture, high power distance culture. But invitation to involvement is common in low power distance culture. Then managers' perception about decision making. Then manager perceive they have the authority and right to make decision under high power distance context. However, in low power distance culture, managers share with employees opinion, ideas, suggestions when they making decisions. Then management orientation. In high power distance culture, management orientation is bureaucratic. However, in low power distance culture, management orientation is flexible. Invitation to initiatives. There is no room to introduce innovations, new ideas in high power distance culture. However, invitation and allow the employee. However, in low power distance, invite and allow to the employee for innovation. Then they invite new ideas, creativity, innovations. Then managers' perception about empowerment. Then managers perceive empowerment is not a thing for the workers under high power distance context. However, under low power distance context, managers perceive empowerment is essential. The nature of role. All the workers' roles are ambiguity oriented and overloaded in high power distance culture. However, the roles are clear and right loaded in low power distance culture. Then plan goals and objectives. In high power distance, managers and employees feel they haven't clear plan, goal, and objectives. But in low power distance culture, managers and employees feel they have clear plan, goals, and objectives. Nature of employee understanding. Then in high power distance culture, they do not aware what is exactly expected and what are the responsibility of them. However, in low power distance, workers aware what is expected and what are the responsibility of them. Sharing of options. In the high power distance culture, sharing of options, there is no invitation for the sharing of options. However, in low power distance culture, they share the options. They share the options. Then stock ownership plan. It is very rare in high power distance culture. However, it is more common in low power distance culture. Power structure. Like and favor for centralized power structure in high power distance culture. Like and favor for decentralized power structure in low power distance culture. The last one of power distance dimension, organizational structure. In high power distance culture, organizational structure is tall. Organizational structure is tall and privileges for different positions. In low power distance culture, organizational structure like flat one and privileges are equal for all workers in low power distance culture. Okay, this is the first dimension of low power distance of the national culture. Then here I try to explain how HRM practices applied in high power distance context and low power distance context. Then second dimension, uncertainty avoidance. Then there are two types of uncertainty avoidance. One is high uncertainty avoidance, other one is low uncertainty avoidance. In the high uncertainty avoidance culture, pursue systematic internal and long-term personal development. However, in low uncertainty avoidance culture, pursue short-term personal development. Then reward system. In high uncertainty avoidance culture, prefer seniority and skill-based reward system. Seniority-based and skill-based reward system. Blending seniority and skill-based. But in low uncertainty avoidance culture, focus on individual performance-based pay system. Then employee selection. Under high uncertainty avoidance culture, these are the features of employee selection. More type of selection test, more interviews, monitor the more detail of applicants, objective data collecting to decision making. Then they use more type of selection test. Why? To avoid uncertainty. Then they use more interviews. Then they need more detail about the applicants. Then they always collecting objective data for decision making. However, in low uncertainty avoidance context, these are the features. Less type of selection test, less interview, subjective data are used to make decisions. Okay, then uncertainty situations. Uncertainty situations. Uncertainty situations. In high uncertainty avoidance culture, disliked by managers as well as employee for the uncertainty situation. They are expecting certain situations. But in low uncertainty avoidance context, managers and employees are like the uncertainty situations. Then order and rules. In high uncertainty avoidance culture, managers and employees are like to orders and rules. Why? Reduce the uncertainty. However, in low uncertainty avoidance culture, employees and manager prefer fewer rules. They are not like for the orders and rules. Then rules formation with the organization structure. In high uncertainty avoidance, employee like to high degree of formalization of rules. However, in low uncertainty avoidance, workers are like to low degree of formalization of rules. They are not like to more formalized of rules. Then job description and specification. In high uncertainty avoidance culture, job description and specification like to more detail and long-term orientation for less ambiguities. However, in low uncertainty context, avoidance context, job description and specification are not too specific. Short-term orientation for more dynamic. They like uncertainty, therefore their job conditions, terms are changing. Therefore, they like to accept the changes. Then selection of managers based on seniority under high uncertainty avoidance context. But under low uncertainty avoidance context, selection of managers are based on merit. Then in high uncertainty avoidance culture, loyalty perceived as a virtue. Then perception about trainers. These are the features. Trainers have answer for all questions in high uncertainty avoidance context culture. Trainers are expert perceived. Disagreements are supposed to be disgraceful and disrespectful. However, trainers can say, I don't know. Trainers are comfortable with unanswered questions, and trainers are encouraged to stimulate intellectual disagreement in low uncertainty avoidance culture. Then rewarding of trainees. In high uncertainty avoidance culture, trainees are rewarded for problem solving ability, but they have to solve the problem considering the principles and method set by the trainers. However, in low uncertainty avoidance culture, trainees are encouraged to problem solving with innovative approaches, their own way. Then document required for recruitment. In high uncertainty avoidance culture, elaborate written documents needed to avoid the future conflict, especially when recruiting people. But there is no required to sign the formal employment contract under low uncertainty avoidance culture. Then forecasting applicant at selection process. Forecasting applicant at selection process. In high uncertainty avoidance culture, need detailed information from biodata or application with when hiring. However, in low uncertainty avoidance culture, not expecting elaborate personal information from the candidate. Then trust about the oral information by the applicant. In high uncertainty avoidance culture, less trust about the oral information given by the applicant at the selection process. Less trust. But in low uncertainty avoidance culture, trust about the information provided by the applicant at the selection process. They trust. Then personal references. Then personal references play vital role at the hiring decision in high uncertainty avoidance culture. Then behavior of managers. managers are supposed to allow the set principles and take less risks under uncertainty avoidance culture. However, high degree of freedom to take decision in the best interest of the organization in low uncertainty avoidance culture. This is the second dimension of national culture I used to explain the application of HRM. Third dimension of national culture is individualism versus collectivism. Then employee selection. These are the features of employee selection in individualistic culture based on individual personal records, select candidates considering the skills and task ability, highly structured and bureaucratic interview, use external labor market in order to recruit talented employees, person-centered selection focus on fitting the job, more preference to select the employee from the outside of the managers and employees. Then here, important thing is highly structured and bureaucratic interview. Then these are the characters of employee selection under collectivistic culture. Selection of candidate is based on the recommendation of family member. Here family member means the employee. Then difficult to recruit externally because of strong social network within the organization. Third one, internal group support to internal candidates. Use internal labor market in order to promote loyalty. The loyalty is important. Person-centered selection focuses on fitting the rest of the company. Then consider candidate fitness with the rest of the company. More preference to select employee from the relatives of the managers and employees, employee referral methods. Then promotion. In individualistic culture, promotion based on the employee potentiality. However, in collectivistic culture, promotion based on seniority. Then job description. In individualistic culture, JD is prepared for individual workers. However, JD is prepared for group worker under collectivism culture. Then performance evaluation. In individualism culture, pay for individual performance. Job extension is done through job performance. Job performance is the main criteria to continue the job. Poor performance mean loss of the job. If you are giving low contribution, then you have to go. However, pay for group performance is common in collectivistic culture. Poor performance of worker is not the reason to dismissal because of the worker is a family member, company member. Then performance is measured on the base of a project carried by the group. Then opportunity seeking. In individualism culture, move one company to another based on attractive opportunity. Attractive opportunity stimulate the workers to shift one company to another in individualistic culture. However, in collectivistic culture, retain the company because of social interaction. Social interaction is main criteria to retain within the company. Then teamwork. In Individualism culture, individual work and poor individually work and poor interpersonal relation. Therefore, teamwork is very rare. However, teamwork and good interpersonal relations are common in collectivistic culture. Then reward. In individualistic culture, individual based pay system and high overall pay distribution are the common thing. However, in collectivistic culture, group based reward system and lower overall pay distribution. Other benefit. In collectivistic culture, workplace childcare practice, flexible benefit plan, maternity leaves are common. Then goodwill of the company. In individualism culture, individuals are not concerned about the goodwillness of the company. They are thinking about their goodwill. But in collectivistic culture, employee consider the goodwill of the company and correcting the undesirable behavior of the workers collectively because of goodwillness of the company. This is the third dimension of national culture, individualism and collectivism. In the last dimension, masculinity and femininity. In masculinity culture, job stress is high. When compared with the masculinity culture, in femininity culture, job stress is low. Low stress at workplace. Then promotion, usually done by merit in masculinity culture. Relationship with boss. It is poor in masculinity culture, however, it is very high relationship between the boss in femininity culture. Then decision making. Individual decision making is common in masculinity culture. Collective decision making is common in femininity culture. Preferences. Preferences for large company in masculinity culture. Then selection. These are the features of selection in masculinity oriented culture. Use highly structured interview, use uniform guideline, similar questions are asked by all candidates, little personal interaction, consider gender stereotype. However, unstructured interview, consider the positive relationship with others as a criterion, more personal interaction, consider emotions, use personality test. These are the features of employee selection in femininity culture. Then success is a value in masculinity, especially material success. Material success is value in masculinity culture. Then relationship is value in femininity culture. Then social role. In masculinity culture, separate the social role. No social role. Or social roles are done separately from the company role. However, in femininity oriented culture, overlap the social role with the work role. Then quality of life. Greater value for money and success in masculinity oriented culture. However, greater value for quality of life and relationship in femininity oriented culture. Then I assume you have good idea about the application of HRM in different culture.